Hey guys, so this is again a new theme that I'm going to do this week. Try to pump out a bunch of videos with less editing. So what was happening, I'll probably explain it in the comments, is that when I did a video, I like doing the videos, it takes me very little time to do them, I just run my mouth and go. But I hated editing, so basically every minute that I would do recording, it would take me at least 2 minutes to edit it. And so I was adding basically 200% more work to something I didn't like to do. And then I ended up not even doing the video at all. And then I was like, well, I kind of like doing the videos. I can hear myself think. I don't really care if I hear a lot, right? So what I'm doing is I'm editing basically very little, if any, and I'm just going to pump out some more content. I'm also going to try to show you guys what I think and how I think and what I do at certain times, and where I get some information, some more background kind of stuff, instead of just a random idea every now and then that I'll put out. So this is one of the things I do every quarter, is usually on Sundays. So usually tomorrow I'll go through the more recent ones. So this, I should explain what this is. So basically all these money managers post their letters to their quarterly letters to their investors, and usually these are funds, could be hedge funds. And basically they say their thoughts on the quarter. Usually it's how we performed, or top performers, what we're seeing in the market, kind of stuff. And I find them fascinating, right? And part of why I do this though is for idea generation, to try to find something that I'm missing. Most of them think similarly, right? Most of them are kind of like your CNBC, like you listen to that or watch that, you're probably already know what half of these are going to say, right? Because that's what it's tailored for, is they're tailoring it to their clients who they know watch TV and stuff like that, right? Anyway, the reports this quarter were pretty bad, right? A lot of them underperformed the market severely. Like we're talking year-to-date declines in 30s and 40%, right? Which is pretty crazy. Anyway, I shop these for ideas, basically, is what I do on Sunday. So I'll go and I'll just open a few each Sunday and read. So I'm going to do this time is we're just going to go with it. Usually I have something prepared that I'm going to say, and I have an idea. I ramble off that idea anyway, but this one I'm just going to go through it, and I'll, which one should we pick? One main capital, I don't really care for. Some of the tickers are on the right. So this is a Reddit crowdsourced, so I should say what the source is. I'm basically just post all these hedge fund letters together. Each quarter is a different URL, and basically you just idea hunt on these hedge funds or funds. I know Greystone value. So usually I'm more of the value guy. I like seeing what they think is cheap, and then I can try to figure out why is it cheap, and then if I want to look at it deeper or not. So I think last time I finished July 28th. So let's do Greystone value. So basically this is what it is, just like the PDF resembles the quarter, blah blah blah. During the second quarter, we lost 20 to 30 various accounts. Mean return was minus 23%. That's during one quarter. Pretty crazy. Year to date, the median account return was minus 33 net of fees. Imagine paying somebody 33% to lose your money. Or sorry, imagine losing 33% of your money while paying them to lose your money. Anyway, idea hunt is usually at the end. Basically, they're going to say the environment's horrible. It's true, it's not a great environment, but that's why I like it. That's why I look through all those earnings calls, because I know this is the time where you make money, right? That's when everyone's so fearful, and things could get a lot worse, right? You never know. It could actually be a recession, but at the same point, you're getting some discounts on small cap land. Large cap land, you could get more pain, but small caps are trading like dirt because perceived liquidity is dried up, even though companies are still getting some liquidity. Depending on which companies they are. Anyway, top 5 positions. Which ones do they like the most? And usually what I do is I'll read really quickly what's their hook. So, new gym construction. And then I'll see if I can actually buy it. So sometimes some of these companies are like, this probably, it's a foreign company, right? So it's probably not very liquid. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but usually it is. Sorry, when it's like I said, I didn't prepare for this. This is just kind of like off the cuff. I'm just going to go, and if I see an investment, I'm going to jump on it, right? All right, so they have these BFIT clubs. Germany. Okay, so I was rated as foreign. Yes, Europe's ongoing issues on inflation and energies. Energy's probably not going to get better. And again, I'm thinking out loud. Though I need to practice thinking out loud because I'm used to internalizing things that I'm reading. Alright, they have fixed prices for things like utilities through 2023. So that's their angle. They're not going to feel the energy price hikes as much on their 600 clubs. I think they're going to go to 2,000 clubs by 2025. Pretty aggressive, man. With significant free cash flow generation starting with the business becoming self-funding. So it's not self-funding right now in a period of time when you want self-funding because everyone's running away from Europe. That's not great. You're awesome, but it's like a barricades almost. They're gonna have slight wage increase. Rent costs are capped in each of their contracts. That's good. I mean, basic fit. Alright. Usually I just quickly look at it. But looks like I need to sign in. Let's see, I'm from France. Alright. Hopefully you guys can read French, but if not, whatever, I'll make this quick. I'm already not going to buy it, I can already tell. I'll just skip it. Next one, Rick Hospitality. Okay. Watch one of our business perform brilliantly quarter after quarter while the stock price either decline or barely reacts. Okay, it's a nightclub. Bombshell. What the hell's a bombshell? They've made some acquisitions. Okay, it's declined to nearly 50%, so that's good for me. We'll find out why probably in a bit, but it's always a start. Well, Rick's industry sector is a tough one. I don't think I've actually followed a nightclub one before. I don't think it'll be a tough one. You think I'd be doing good right now with the experiences and memory trend that we've been seeing. And it follows into the sin play too that we're seeing in alcohol. Right, usually during periods of hardship, you're going to get attendance going up on escapism activities like liquor and strip clubs or nightclubs. Right. Fairly lumped into the broader restaurant, so is it a restaurant? Maybe. I'll have to see the margins. Like I said, I've never looked at a nightclub one before. This could be if I'm going to do a video on. Dun, dun, dun. Consumer discretionary activities. Why we own Rick? Good rhetorical question. Alright, they have good variable cost structure. We'll see. Provide significant activities. The business of pricing power on both service and alcohol sides. Mission to another acquisition. So it's doing acquisitions. I was gonna say, like, it must be pretty fragmented, right? Because I don't see very many nightclub companies. Right? Could be like Alimentation with tucking in the gas stations, as the mom and pop gas stations, instead you're tucking in mom and pop nightclubs. Another 20 million EBITDA by 2023 doesn't mean anything to me yet. Buyer of choice, why is that? Should they achieve this acquisition, they should be trading around 5x EBITDA, which is fairly cheap. Like Expedia is only at 6 times EBITDA, so something in this range is cheap, so that's good. And it is down 50%, which is also good. Some lost on management who are purchasing shares hand over fist, so insider buying is good. At high free cash flow, so we'll have to see if that's true. That's good. You want free cash flow right now in this market. Companies survived COVID, that's true. Did they actually generate free cash flow? That's pretty impressive. There we go. Since stocks do well, that's usually true. Cheap form of entertainment. That can be found in alcohol. Okay. Alright, that's a good hook. What the hell's the company called? RCI Hospitality. Rick. Dun, dun, dun. Let's do this one. Earnings date is coming up next week. That's a good one. So yeah, I might do a video on it next week. Get some more recent information. Oh, it's down 50%, but the thing's already up 100%. Okay, but it is a pretty serial grower. So, but still, like, oh yeah, it's down 50%. But if it's trading 5 times EBITDA up here, that tells you that the business is doing something right? Over the last decade, it's been growing from, God, what is it, penny stock almost now? It's $5 a share. Well, that's during the super panic. Let's do the, every now and then it still is in like the $6 land until 2019. So it did 5x in 5 years, which usually means the business is doing something right. And the COVID panic would have been the best time to buy it, $9. It'd be nice to get some of these companies, like I look at other companies that have free cash flow better than 2019 that are back down to here, right? And this one's still up here, which kind of sucks. But if we'll take his word for it, 5 times EBITDA could be exciting. But just looking at the chart, I want it down here, right? Especially with the current opportunity set that I'm getting. Like PayPal is generating $5 billion in cash flow. I don't know what it was like $75 a share or something. The last time it was at $75 a share, it was like 2018 when it was only generating $3 billion in cash flow. And this is on during a slowdown after making $5 billion a year in cash flow. It's like, okay, you're 40% more profitable or 60% more profitable, but you're getting a better share price. That's why I like with this one. I want, like, okay, you're way better, but I want it at a better price. This one, you're probably way better, but you're at a cheap or more expensive price. According to them, they think it'll be cheap for 2023. And again, what's the catalyst though? I mean, the catalyst that I probably want to earn one just to look at it, because I've never looked at a company like this before. Rick Hospitality. Okay, they have a bunch of brands. What do you think if you're doing a tuck-in strategy, you'd want like one brand? Well, it'd be kind of weird, I guess, to have like a franchise. Strip clubs. Usually they're all like unique, right? Like, I don't know. Dun dun dun. Bombshells. What's this? Okay, this is the restaurant and bar. Okay. That makes more sense. Military themed. Okay. Interesting. Become a franchise for Bombshells. Yeah, about us. Started in Dallas. Okay, so probably Texas route. I guess I should see how much of the business is Bombshells versus nightclub, but they keep bringing up this word, so I'm sure it means something to them. Alright. Beer, wings, I get it. Kind of like that. A little bit different version of Hooters or something. Done. Alright, let's go back. Nightclubs. Upscale. New York, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Minneapolis, Denver, St. Louis. Okay, so this is their brands. How many do they own? Nightclubs generate revenue through sales of liquor, food, cover charges, dance fees, room levels, ATM commissions. Oh yeah, ATM commissions at nightclubs. That's kind of interesting. I want to go through the financials. Let's do press releases first, though. Okay, acquisition, buyback. So technically, the information that we read here is so far accurate. They're going through acquisition, and they're also buying back their shares, which implies free cash flow. We'll have to see if they took on debt to make the acquisitions, though. Dun, 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 dun. All right, calls on August 9th on Twitter Spaces. Okay. Maybe if I'm on, I'm gonna check this one out. Mow the lawn, listen to this call. Interesting. Pays a dividend. Interesting. Definitely, all these make me feel like the free cash flow. But again, I want a cheaper price based on that stock chart, buddy. And the fact that it's held up so well when other things have collapsed tells me that could be something to it. But it could also mean that it's just about to fall. You can never know this early on. Okay, let's do the let's look at Q2 results. So that's the most recent before we get August 9th next week. Okay, revenue's up good. You'd expect it to be recovering from COVID, right? That's one of the reasons why I clicked on this one, is experiences, and it has easy comps. Free cash flow, okay, 11, 26 on 6, so call it 50 million a year, 40 to 50 million a year. Adjusted EBITDA, pretty close following the cash flow. Is always what you want to see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so decent amount. Diluted shares. I don't like how it says positive. It should be going negative. They're buying back shares, which tells me they probably issued shares to make those acquisitions. Yes, we ended the quarter with 38 million in cash. What was the market cap on this guy anyway? I should have looked at that first. All right, wow, pretty cheap. 548 million. You got 38 million in cash. So you're basically at 500 million bucks in valuation. Check the debt, see. It's not bad. All right. Improved performance of clubs acquired. So what I'd like to see here is how they make the clubs better that they acquire. Are they able to get more? Like if they buy a company at 6 times EBITDA, but are able to cut off a bunch of costs to make it look like they've acquired it at 4 times EBITDA, right? The synergies that I'm sure they're making. Like I like tuck-in plays, so this is another thing that excites me. So far everything looks good except for the price. Like the price isn't expensive, don't get me wrong. It's like 30 times earnings, 15 times earnings, cheaper than the market. And it does appear to be growing quicker than the market. But again, part of this is going to be COVID recovery. Cash flow's good though, right? Your EBITDA is at 40 million at 6 months, and your valuation's only 500 million. All right. If we assume 20 million a quarter, I should check for seasonality. But say if we assume, right, 80 million. Here, 6 times EBITDA. They're saying they're getting another 20 a year from that next year's acquisitions, so 100 million. You can see where they're getting their 5 times maybe. And that's pretty good. EPS though. Yeah, so say if you're at 450 and it's trading at 60, okay, say 15-ish, maybe a little bit cheaper actually. So it's definitely improving year over year. So it is relatively cheap and it is getting materially better. So that's exciting. Not cheap enough still for any real asset allocation. My gut says to buy a little bit of it and just ride it and see if I can get a better price over time to average into. Dun dun dun. But need to do more work than this. Top revenue generating club. hell, strip? Oh, tip and strip NFTs. That might explain this pump. They probably got into NFTs and Bitcoin randomly, which is not a good sign. So that's the first red flag. So why you have this underlying business that appears to be doing quite well, then why are you trying to? Maybe it's a marketing gimmick. I don't know. Cause those, right? Maybe they're trying to target dudes, and dudes are into NFTs. What? Just weird, right? Why would you do? It's nothing to do with the business. Especially when it's on here, right? Because you know that basically it's not material at all. It's literally must be a marketing gimmick. Yeah, that's the fridge in the background. Hopefully you guys can't hear it too much, but I'm not gonna edit this one out. I'm just gonna free roam in it. What else is there? So it's pretty good. Not pretty much in that. Alright. I hate reading the notes. Let's do this filing. Apologize, I hate Edgar, man. Alright, 10K. 10K filing. Dun dun dun. Hopefully you guys can see it with my head in the way. I don't know. I'll blow it up a bit. Alright, so there's your 40 million in cash. 200 million properties. A little bit of too much goodwill, so overpaying for their acquisitions. Debt's up 50%, 166. Okay, so they made some acquisitions. Looks like they took on debt and issued shares for it. So a mixture of the two, which leads me to start thinking. 166. So just quickly, 166. So plus 544 is $700 million. $700 million doing 80 million in EBITDA. So yeah, it's under 10 times EBITDA. They think it's gonna get under 5. It's possible. The debt's still low relative to the company size. Just, I hate seeing it increase, right? I'd rather it be decreasing. But they're obviously trying to go for growth and tuck in acquisitions. This is the fun part. Okay, let's see the margins here. Sales of alcohol beverages, 27 million. Cost of alcohol beverages, less than 5 million. That's a big markup. That is exciting. What about food? Oh yeah, food's a good markup too. 11 million, but only 3.8 million. Service revenues, 21.5 million. Wow. It's interesting that Outliquor is bigger than a service revenue, which is like must be your dances and lap dances and stuff like that. Okay, here's your wages and salaries, so you can see the margins are pretty high. But again, they capture the cost of the salaries down here, so the gross margin is going to report high if their service revenues increase, but their SGA is going to keep ticking up in line with service revenues. So you can see they make a lot of their money on the alcohol side, and then quite a amount on service too, I would imagine. Depreciation's going up with more properties. Makes sense. It has appreciated quite a bit lately though. It's non-cash, but it gives me a sequence of events to what I expect on the balance sheet. Earnings per share is growing materially year over year. Though again, you can see the dilution here. That's why it's barely gone up, even though the EPS is performing. So they grew by acquisition. Interest rates slowly going up with this interest expense. Let's see cash flow. Cash flow's still good. It's a good cash flow business. So you can see they spent it on acquisitions. There's their debt. Okay, so they took on debt to make the acquisitions. And they used some of their free cash flow for that. Alright, looks good, looks good. I'll probably look more into these drivers if I consider it more. Nightclubs. Dun, dun, dun. Again, the margins, they're just funny. ER is relatively small. Licenses. So what did they acquire? 50 million or bucks worth of licenses. Indefinite. Non-compete agreements. It's the biggest delta increase. SGA. It's like that. I like that they're giving all this information on a quarterly. Or did I click the 10K? Well, it's weird they're giving me 3 months anyway. It's nice. Advertising's way up. Leases again. Credit card fees. Utilities up. Accounting's up. Everything's slightly up. Well, roughly in line with what the revenue shot up by. Actually, a little bit better. Well, it is scaling. Who are the 28 investors? Ugh. So, second one, you're gonna pay people 12% interest. I mean, don't get, it's a small amount, 17 million, but why? Could you not access the capital markets with your bloated up share price? Right? What? Why would you pay 12% a year? At the like cannabis level. It's even worse than that because that's actually been going down. Ugh. Why? Good for those debt guys, I guess. Well, there you go. Now you're only down to 4.5. See, that's that's better. Oh my god, a 21-year one. Repriced after 5 years and then again annually to prime plus 1 with a floor rate of 4. Okay. Equity, yes, we know you diluted for that acquisition. Sorry, I keep clicking on stuff. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, like I said, I'm just ad-libbing this one, so it's gonna be a longer video, but it kind of tells you what I think when I go through companies really quickly without any real knowledge of the business, right? Just gonna go over the margins. Yeah. Okay, here's good. So revenue. Look at that revenue on nightclub. So 48 million, and you're walking away with 19. That's so good. Bombshell though is 15 million, and it's a slower grower, right? Yeah. And the margins are shit, which is what you expect from a restaurant, especially franchise. So definitely the nightclub business is more exciting here. I'm surprised they don't just spin off this restaurant thing if it doesn't want to be associated with a restaurant. Dun, dun, dun. There's where the growth is coming in, the appreciation of nightclubs. So they're making acquisitions into the better place, that's good. And CapEx is actually down, which is interesting. So they're deciding to grow more by acquisition than they are by investing back into their existing businesses. Or maybe they decided to take advantage of COVID. Oh, it looks lumpy though. CapEx on the 6 months way higher for nightclubs. Dun dun dun. Settled. Acquisition of a club in Miami. 16 million. 10%. Like, what are with these like weird terms, man? And then a balloon payment. 10-year. 10% again. Like, man, why is your cost of capital so crap when you're putting up numbers like that? And you have this freaking share price that's gone crazy over the last year. Why wouldn't you raise money that way? Right? So no wonder interest rate expense is going up. They're obviously trying to shoot up EBITDA as much as they can, right? Because interest expense doesn't show up in EBITDA. Like, why? Just gonna go raise margins though. At 26% on the bottom line. It's pretty good. And the PM here is 17%. Oh man. That's exciting. Yeah, you can see the profitability profile of nightclubs far superior to Bombshells. That's what it was showing me on the income statement, but now you can see it broken out really easy. Let's look at anything else. We'll grow into more drivers later. Probably when I dig into the company more formally. But it looks good. I just wish the price was better, and I wish. So far, the capital structure is weird. Like, why are you borrowing at 12 and 10% when you have these type of growth numbers? Is it because no one can invest in the sin industry? I don't know. I feel like, well, maybe. I have no clue. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Okay, let's go whale wisdom. See who owns this bad boy. Let's see if anything shows up in macro trends too. And then we'll check the insider buying. Let's do this one too. And I'll check short interest real quick. Alright. Who owns Rick? At least it's an easy ticker to remember. I'm gonna listen to the call and get the most recent information, get a feel for the drivers. Be nice if I get this on a pullback. Like, all of a sudden it freaks out down, something shady happens. Who knows? The wild west of Stockland. Dun dun dun. Okay, so quite a bit of companies own it. That might explain why the share price is holding up, is that the number of funds that are holding keeps growing. Right? I always like how the number of funds holding decreased during the COVID panic, which was when the time to buy was. And then they chase it up. And they're still holding. We'll see if it goes down. So obviously more and more people are aware of this company. Guess I should look at the top holders. Don't know who this guy is, don't know who that guy is, but no one owns a crazy amount, 10 and 5. Everyone else owns very little, dollar value wise. First person owns 60 million. BlackRock owns 33. Okay. But again, very small numbers. So this is the only individual. I guess we should see who he is. Okay, he's a somebody, strip club owner. Dun dun dun. Maybe I'll dig that later if I need to. There's only a 5% holder anyway. Rick. Dun dun dun. Financials. So you're growing over time. You've been listed for a while. Okay, your growth was flat, and it started shooting up. Thing's slow as hell. Alright, next one. Wait till that responds. Alright, let's look up Rick. Go. Alright, what do we got, Rick? One seller more than a year ago. That was the guy with the biggest position. Fund. Okay, you got, yeah, quite a bit of buying, so that article was right about that as well. CEO's buying. Owns almost 1 million shares. Is that right? Like how percent own is 0 though. Like delta own is 0. Okay, some of the directors are buying, the CFO is buying. It's about 20,000. That's relatively recent. They're buying in this 50 land, which is good to see. Definitely better than the alternative. You definitely always want insider buying. I don't know who any of these guys are. Might have to do digging into this guy too, just to get a feel for him. He's at least for 37.5 million. The head of 5 different companies. Okay, so he's a character. Alright, I'm digging into those guys later. Let's go back to this real quick. Just want to see the trend over time. Okay, so 74 million in sales. Still pretty good margins. Spending quite a bit on marketing. Operating income's okay. Discontinued operations here tanked it. But you can see, generally speaking, it's about $1 in earnings, slowly increasing. $1.15. Still growing. Fairly steady. You can see EBITDA going around 22. This is years, so it's definitely been a slow play. 22, 27, 30, 35, 44. It's growing. COVID hit and smacked it. 47. I mean, and they're targeting almost 80 now, right? They're almost at this 6 months in. So they're definitely accelerating the EBITDA. That appears to be at the expense of interest expense, though, right? Borrowing at 10%. Freaking. Yeah, again, you just get to scale, right? You're just like, frick. Like the profitability up here is ridiculous, right? We saw that in the food and the margins on services. Yeah, pretty good margin, right? And then you have SGA, obviously, a main source of scale here. So it does look good on the income statement side. Right, let's see. Anyone short these guys? Not really. Not enough to care. Interesting anyway. No like real red flags yet. I'll have to dig into these two just to get a feel for who I'm working with or dealing with potentially. Buying in with. Right. What else is there? Let's just... Okay, we completed 11 gentlemen clubs. Material. Just look at this one more time, yeah. So the main thing there is the debt. But again, it's small relative to the size of the company and the EBITDA it can generate. Just why, when you have a decent balance sheet, do you have to borrow at 10% when you're growing like this? Why? Oh. Interesting though, you have business that fits into my macro model of memories and experiences continue to increase. And technically it looks cheap in terms of EBITDA. I'll have to dig into the capital structure a bit. Anyway, those already videos rambled long enough. Again, this is more for me to look back at it. This is like, kind of wanted to show what I do for idea generation randomly on like say Sunday morning. I'll look and all I do is click on a letter. I'll go through their little fun letter, look for ideas, filter them out pretty quickly. I could do this one. IDT shares declined 50%. So UCAS, I already have a software as a service business that I like more. I've already looked at this company. GoDecker, I've also looked at this company. eDreams could be interesting. That sounds like travel. They seem to have a focus in Europe, eh? So the first one was Germany. It's probably a liquid. But yeah, anyway, I always like this one for just idea generation Reddit. You can find it and you click on one and you can just go. And sometimes they'll have the tickers on the right, sometimes they won't. Usually they'll have like the bigger name tickers, which usually I skip over anyway, right? Because I'm looking for the ones no one really thinks about, right? It's part of idea generation, is turn over as many rocks as you can. Spotify's probably the only one interesting here. Well, Stone's interesting. Some of these I don't know, so if I do happen to know one, I don't. Not because I don't like it, it's just I don't know any better. Dun dun dun. But anyway, usually I like to click on, like today after this, I'm gonna go and just click on the ones for August 1st. Then usually they're quarterly, so it's part of my quarterly process. Let's also the conference calls, and I click to see what some of these guys are seeing. And it's also interesting to see how they word things to their investors, right? When they've, especially this quarter, where most of them have underperformed materially, right, relative to the market this year, and for the better part of 2021 too, the last part. Especially if you were just a big tech guy, right? E-commerce goods, you would have got smoked so far. And that technically makes sense based on the trends we're seeing. Again, it could be temporary, but ultimately the game plan is still the same, as slowly keep trimming energy, slowly keep trimming the utilities and other outperformers like stronger US staples, and trying to find companies that have pulled back meaningfully, at least 50%, and are putting up easy numbers, or putting up good numbers against easy COVID comps. This one technically doesn't fit that bill because it's not down versus 2019, because the business appears to be growing well, and they seem to be acquiring other nightclubs. What appears to be cheap, but I don't know. Like, it would be nice to have like maybe they do have a presentation. Let's just see. Let's not call it a day yet. Press releases, company investor information. Do they say anything about their acquisitions? Cheetah, Florida Explain South Florida. That's good. You like the demographics in Florida. Dun, dun, dun. 6%. That's a respectable amount. Why are these promissory notes 10 and 12 and crap? Dun, 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 dun. Nothing else exciting there. Or I should say, 50-second club on our portfolio. 4 million adjusted EBITDA. So why is this phone going to do 4 million? All right. Guess we can figure out an average EBITDA and see which ones they're outperforming. It would be interesting to see the land that they own as well. So there's a couple of interesting things here, right? I'm just speaking out loud. There's a lot of things I have to dig into if I was going to make this a real position. But I wouldn't mind putting a small tracer on it until I dig deeper in. Alright, anything else I should think about? There's always stuff to think about. Alright, let's do the third quarter PDF. Presentations I usually look at the very end because this is a story that the management wants me to see. Really, there's not much, only a few slides. Alright, sales are doing good. We need that. Northern clubs are rebounding. Interesting. I mentioned they had tougher comps in the latest quarter because they were one of the few chains open during COVID in Texas. That makes sense. They had a lot more extra volume if other ones were closed. Their competition was closed last year. That's what that's trying to say. Interesting. And yeah, you can see the growth in nightclubs far outperforming Bombshells. Margins are better too, so the more percent of sales come from nightclubs, the better the sales mix margin will be. Buybacks. See, that's not bad, right? 9.2 million. On 9 months, they bought back 12 million. The company's only worth 500 million, right? So you're buying back an okay amount. What's that? Not enough to really matter, but over time it could, right? I mean, it's a nice position to be in when you can buy back shares, right? 2% of the company and 2% of the equity value, rather. Okay. That's 9 months, so let's assume they buy back 2.5% of the company here. It's not amazing, but it's something. I wonder what the dividend yield is on it. Anyway, it's enough rambling for me. I just figured I'd do some random thought process and stream it live instead of having a plan and going with it. It's kind of how I look at companies really quickly. The main things to look at, obviously, are the balance sheet and cash flow. This one's cash flow positive. Usually you can tell right away if they're buying back shares. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes they take on leverage to buy back shares. This one actually did. They had leverage, but they actually made acquisitions with the leverage. So it's a little bit different beast. And they also diluted for acquisitions. So even though share buybacks aren't counting year over year, they're not actually netting up the dilution yet. But should over time if they're right on their acquisitions. I'll have to see more about how the economics are on their takeover strategies or acquisition strategies. Anyway, figured I'd do this video today. It's a different one. And the last one is free. Just to a little bit different. I thought it'd be interesting to share kind of what I look at. That's just one, right? It's like an hour long. It's just one idea that I just filtered through on this one. The other 5 on here I wouldn't bother looking at. But who knows? I shouldn't say that. I should look at this one. So that fits my narrative. Right? But we'll see. Go Decker. Who knows? It could be a good one too. I remember thinking this one was cheap, but I wasn't sure if I had an angle on it. Anyway, have a great rest of your guys' weekend.